Okay, good afternoon. And thank you all for joining us for our first SFCASA report call. I'm Renee Espinoza, the Executive Director of San Francisco CASA, and I'm happy to be able to share a bit about what your support is accomplishing. There's no need to take notes, and we'll send you all a recording of this call after we're finished. So just over a year ago, San Francisco CASA embarked on a comprehensive project to determine what would be next for the organization. The result is an ambitious new strategic plan, and today I'd like to share some of the highlights as well as our progress to date. We'll allow for time at the end for questions, and please feel free to submit questions using the chat function at any time. If you're on a computer, you'll see the chat box on the right. And if you're on a phone or a tablet, you should actually see a chat bubble. We're going to start by sharing a quick client story, and I'm very happy to introduce Harry Turner, a board member and a former CASA volunteer. Harry.
Thanks, Renee. So I became a CASA volunteer in 2015 and was paired with a 10-year-old boy named Tay at a time when he and his sister had already been in foster care for more than a year. They were fortunate having been placed with a foster family they knew from school. During our weekly visits over the next year and a half, we visited the park, the zoo, arcades, and movies, and there was always a meal involved. I spent a lot of time getting to know Tay, trying to understand what he needed and how he was feeling. My role was to be another supportive adult in Tay's life and to provide him with a regular outlet to talk and to just be a kid. The time spent with Tay also allowed me to be effective as his voice with the court and to coordinate with his social worker, attorney, and others supporting his case. Once Tay's foster family expressed an interest in adopting him and his sister, Tay made it clear that he supported the adoption. He had found stability in a caring family and wanted the arrangement settled and made permanent. I then advocated in court for Tay and his sister to be adopted and communicated Tay's wishes to the judge. The adoption was approved and finalized almost 1 year ago. I just saw Tay last week, and he's doing well at school and at home. And once his case was closed, I was able to introduce him to my own son and husband. I feel so gratified to have been a CASA volunteer and to have had Tay in my life, and we're now very fortunate that my family can be a part of Tay's community.
Thank you, Harry. San Francisco has a tremendous responsibility for nearly 1,000 young people separated from their families and placed into the foster care system. SFCASA takes this responsibility very seriously. Given the realities of most foster youth, we know that we must provide more consistency and trust to each youth, while also addressing specific needs and opportunities. The average foster youth attends 9 different schools, is moved to 7 different placements, and has 7 different social workers. As a result of this instability, their educational achievement, health, and emotional well-being suffer. For 25 years, we have not changed our core mission, but in fact recommitted and clarified what we do every day. Our vision is that every child has a safe and loving home and is given the opportunity to thrive. And our mission is to transform the lives of abused and neglected foster youth by providing one consistent, caring volunteer advocate trained to address each child's need in the court and the community. Our core model is not changing. We will continue to match advocates one-on-one with the foster youth. Over these 4 years, we will be changing in several other ways. We are growing to serve more than 400 youth annually. We are continually working to ensure CASAs have the training and supervision to address the unique needs of foster youth, regardless of their situation. And we will become a true continuous learning organization, measuring our impact and using information to improve our services and increase our impact on foster youth. In developing our strategic plan, we settled on these key 4-year strategic priorities. First, We will increase our impact by effectively serving 400 foster youth annually by 2020. That's almost doubling the amount of youth we served from 2015. We will also deepen our impact with each of those youth. And I'll get to that in a few minutes. We will grow our revenue to support this expansion. SFCASA launched a 25th anniversary campaign last year to raise $1 million to invest in ambitious growth, and at the same time, we are building a diversified, robust, and sustainable development program. I'm excited to announce that we have raised $850,000 toward our campaign goal. At the same time, we are building SFCASA brand awareness with a strong brand strategy that supports the recruitment and retention of advocates and donors. SFCASA's media partnership and presence will continue to grow. We'll measure the impact on website and social media traffic, the number of volunteer information session attendees, and the number of donors supporting us. And finally, we are building the organization so that we have the right team of both staff and board that can deliver on our goals. We have already grown our board from 12 to 19 members, representing San Francisco's diverse economic and professional sectors. At the same time, we've invested in more case supervision and development staff to sustain this expansion, growing from 14 to 17 staff members. At the heart of the San Francisco model is our volunteers, highly trained advocates who form consistent, trusting relationships with our youth. As you can see from this slide, our volunteers will focus on 6 core advocacy areas. An example could be around healthcare. Our advocates make sure that their youth receive the care they need, from general care to mental health, vision, and dental care. They also promote consistency and support youth during transitions to new therapists and doctors, when they move, when they change schools, or even when their social workers change. Our CASAs advocate for the best interest of our youth within the many systems that they serve, including housing, education, healthcare, welfare, and the courts. Understanding the importance of a youth development model, which is what you see on the screen, we train our volunteers to first build awareness of the skills and resources needed to live a successful and independent life. Then as the next step, our CASAs connect youth with resources to meet their needs, achieve their goals, and ultimately live successful, independent lives. A critical part of the new plan is to measure our impact on foster youth in each of the 6 areas more precisely. We plan to use this information to continually learn and improve our volunteer training and supervision, while also identifying any systematic barriers we need to address collectively. This continual measurement and feedback loop will allow us to deepen our impact for individual youth and the collective whole. One example of how this might work is actually what happened a year ago. Many of our youth are eligible for Social Security when they turn 18. Last year, the city of San Francisco hired a new contractor to process Social Security applications. And all of a sudden, our youth were being denied. To make matters worse, what should have been a simple appeal process turned into months-long process that meant our youth, our young adults, were going months without an income. When something like this happens, we want to identify the issue and bring it to the right people quickly. In this case, we were able to work with the Human Services Agency and the contractor to improve the process and correct the situation. I'm happy to say that this barrier has actually been removed for our youth. This summer, we will begin to develop a Salesforce database that will streamline our process and allow us to track and analyze our progress in real time. This new system will be launched before the end of 2017. We know how many CASA volunteers we will need to recruit in order to meet our ambitious growth goals, and we are very actively recruiting and training volunteers. In the first year of our new plan, the program year that just ended this June, we surpassed our growth goal by 21 CASA matches, serving a total of 301 foster youth. You may have heard our ad campaigns on KQED, or perhaps seen our ads on Muni bus shelters or online on Facebook or Google, and you can certainly expect to see more. I'd also love to hear what you think about our ads, so please let us know. We truly value your feedback. Harry.
The 25th anniversary campaign has already allowed us to invest in growth, helping us to expand our services more rapidly and to impact more foster youth than we could have otherwise. We're investing in the systems that will support a larger pool of CASA volunteers and benefit all of our youth for years to come. Everyone on the call today can help make our plans a reality. I hope you'll be moved to invest in our work by supporting the 25th anniversary campaign. Please consider a contribution of any amount above and beyond your annual support and payable with a one-time gift or over 3 years to support SFCASA's growth plan.
You can also help by spreading the word. Every time we look at the data, we are amazed that word of mouth is by far the most common way our volunteers learn about CASA. Share SFCASA's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn posts. Maybe you are a member of a group or have access to the media to help us reach out to potential volunteers. If so, please let us know. You can host a volunteer information session at your place of employment or worship, or through a social or cultural group. Host an event and spread the word. You can reach out to me and we'll coordinate. Or consider becoming a CASA volunteer yourself, if you haven't already. Attend a volunteer information session to see if the CASA role is right for you. San Francisco CASA provides all the training you'll need. I want to thank you for your time today, and this is it for the presentation. But I'd like to open it up to questions. Paul Knudsen has been collecting your questions, and he'll share them with us. So please continue to send your questions via chat.
Thanks, Renee. While you were talking, we got 2 questions about the CASA model. The first one is, what does well-being mean?
Well-being is really looking at the overall youth and supporting them in everyday childhood activities and in what would make them a healthy young adult. So well-being can look at, are they actively engaged in extracurricular activities? Are they able to pursue their interests? Are they happy? Do they have visitations with family and friends? Are they making connections with other community members? So it's overall well-being and support of a young person.
The other was, what's the difference between placement and permanency in the model?
The question we get quite often. Placement is the physical placement where the child currently resides, or if the advocate is working to have them placed somewhere else. So it's their physical residence where they currently are. Permanency. When we talk about permanency in the larger role, we talk about legal permanency. Who has custody of the child? When will they emancipate? That's the legal permanency. What we really work with our advocates is around emotional permanency. How are we building emotional permanency for that young person? How are they connected to their community? With older youth, 16 and older, we really start to work with connecting them with community members, helping them to think about when they're an adult, who are they going to turn to? Who is their community of support? When something great happens, who are they going to share that with? And when they have a challenge in their life, who can they go to seek support? So that permanency, that emotional permanency, is really around community building and seeking a community of support.
Thanks. Here's a great question. Why are so many youth placed so far away?
So in looking at the information that we currently have, we can see that 60% of the young people that are placed in foster care in San Francisco, which means that they were removed from their home living in San Francisco, are now being placed outside of the city because there isn't any placement available for them in the city. And what's happening is the placements that we used to rely on in closer counties are no longer available because everyone's being affected by the housing bubble that's being created. So foster placements where we're seeing the availability are now as far away as Stockton, Modesto, and Manteca. And the 60% of youth out of county in San Francisco is a direct reflection of the number of youth that we are serving. So in the population of the 300 youth that we're currently serving, 60% are out of county. And our advocates actually support and visit those young people when they are out of county. So we're looking at advocates that are spending a day traveling to Modesto to spend 4 to 5 hours with a young person, as well as keeping them connected to their city. And sometimes the advocate is the only connection or anchor that they have to San Francisco and the community that they were removed from.
Great. We just have one last question. If you have any others, please do send them in by chat. But the last one here is, how have you raised $850,000 so far?
Oh, great. We've been very fortunate. We have we received a first-time government grant specifically for growth, so that was one way that we were able to raise the funds. I am very happy and proud and grateful that 100% of our board of directors has supported the campaign, and they've been giving generously above and beyond their board commitment. And we've received several other generous donations from individuals and family foundations. So we're so close.
Great. Just want to give one last chance, if anyone else has any questions, to send them in through the chat bubble or chat on the side of your computer.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all for participating. If you are interested in looking at how to become a CASA volunteer or want to recommend it to some friends, I encourage you to visit our website at www.sfcasa.org. And if you have any questions that you think about later on, or anything else comes up, please feel free to give me an email, send me an email. And my email address is my first name, Renee, RENEE, @sfcasa.org. Thank you so much and have a wonderful afternoon.